Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm answering a question from a recent YouTube commenter. Nicole asked a really common question about menstrual cycles, month to month, shifting, changing, when they shift and change, what does it all mean? So let's dive in. Nicole said, hey Dani, so I got my first recovery period in September and then 43 days later got my second cycle. My third cycle was 27 days and everything seemed to be going great until my fourth cycle came. It was 49 days and super light to the point that I don't even know if it was a real period or spotting. My fifth cycle was the same, but it was shorter, 21 days. And now I'm on day 13 of my cycle and waiting for my sixth period, and I've been eating a little more to try and have an optimal bleed this time. Any idea why this would happen? Yeah. Lots of potential ideas. So Nicole, I don't know much about you. You just comment on a YouTube video, but there's a few different things that come to mind. So just keep in mind, you weren't able to give me all this information. I'm not able to ask you. Here's why this kind of thing happens. So first of all, your first cycles, it is normal to see some shifts and changes. And for your first few periods to actually be more like in the late 30s to forward to mid to late 40s, for those long periods of time in between periods, that's normal. But when we are experiencing what you are, where it's like, okay, but then the fifth one or the fourth one was really light, and then the sixth one was also really light, and I have been eating a little more, suggests to me that, yeah, something happened where you kind of went back in the other direction. So when we recover, very common to sort of have a moment of, I have my period now, so surely I'm not in recovery, so now I might just try and lose a little bit of this weight that I gained, or I might try and just like ease up on the eating because it feels safe, it feels more comfortable, right? It's easier to eat more in recovery because we have this objective sign, we don't have a period, so we can rely on that more. Now that we have our period back, we kind of lose trust in ourselves in that process, that it's okay for us to still eat in abundance. The likelihood is that you have eaten less food, increased exercise, or both at the same time with a history of HA, knowing that you probably have had a history of behaviors like that. It's just realistically what's going on. If it were to be for a different reason, I would be really surprised, but it could be stress, it could be really poor sleep. I would really look at those sort of environmental factors if you feel certain that your exercise and food is on track. But the fact that you've already started to eat a little bit more suggests to me that you've already zoomed out and looked at that situation and said, okay, I think that this is probably the thing. And it probably is. So just because you have had some recovery periods doesn't mean you don't deserve to still eat. Doesn't mean that it's not okay for you to have body fat. I know it's uncomfortable. I know that you're like kind of sitting in this recovered body and just really eager to sort of get back to what life was like before, perhaps. This is a sign to us that you're not fully recovered yet, that there's still some work with your self-worth and with your relationship, possibly with your body, that needs work. I have a couple suggestions for you in terms of resources if you're like, okay, well, what do I do with this information? Ways that my team can help for sure. I would recommend either joining the HA Society, because questions you ask, that's the kind of thing that we talk about in that group all the time. So we have a menstrual cycle mastermind. Every 2 weeks, you can kind of join a call, submit your charts, and we can talk about, I answer questions like exactly like this all the time. And so I kind of can get to know your chart, have access to your charting history, and give a better idea and just more tips along the way. The other recommendation would be to do the Restore program. So I know that you have a recovered cycle, but the thing that the Restore program actually does is help you identify food behaviors, exercise behaviors, body image mindset behaviors, and just challenges, find those blind spots and get you a lot more comfortable with your body and with this process. And that's really important, because if you don't have that stuff in check, these little behaviors that you can probably identify that have cropped up are not going to go away. So if you just got your period back by white knuckling it, eating more, not exercising, yes, I got my period back, okay, and you haven't walked out of that experience with any tools or any changed perspectives, we need to go back to basics a little bit and start working through that. So it's not to say that you can never work on body composition, you can never go back to the gym, you can never like have a day where you don't eat as much food, but it is to say that there's something going on, whether it be psychological or like literally still not enough food, that you need to get to the bottom of, and you need to learn to work with a different tool. So I would recommend either joining the HA Society or doing the Restore program, or even doing a single session with myself just to kind of go through your health history, look at all of your food and eating, look at your exercise, and just come up with like hey, okay, here, I think I see what's going on. Here are some tips and strategies with your nutrition and exercise that I think you probably need to keep on top of to get at least a full year of cycles before you even think about going back to like the goals that you maybe had in the past. I hope this was helpful. I have another YouTuber question that I wanted to answer for you guys today, so I'm gonna go into it. Forgive me if I do not have your name correct, but I believe it is Navarette. And she says, hi, I've had HA for 2 years. I recovered my period in October 2022 and I had my cycle, and I have had 3 cycles that were 32 days. I started going all in this month hoping to get more food freedom, but my 4th cycle didn't come. I'm still hoping, but it is day 40. I'm getting disappointed and frustrated because now I'm overweight. I was ovulating, but my progesterone shows low. Any advice? P.S. I'm in Mexico here and the doctors do not know what HA is. Okay, so there's a few things here. Recovered in October. So the time of this recording is early February. You've had 3 cycles and they've all been exactly 32 days, which is exciting, right? I am wondering how you know progesterone is low. I'm assuming you have had a short luteal phase, and that's how you know that. Meaning ovulation for you has been a little bit later in the month. So it's likely you do just need to maybe look into blood sugar. You possibly are not eating sufficient protein or something strongly linked to progesterone. And then whatever that was, you were cycling the first 3 times, but it wasn't optimal. It was still only, holding on by a thread. And now that cycle is getting further apart, further away. So I recommend looking into balancing your blood sugar, increasing your protein intake, and just seeing if playing with your nutrition helps with that. Also look at stress factors. Are you drinking a lot of coffee or stimulants? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you working all of the time? Different things like this really play a role when it comes to cycles just being scant or taking too long. This answer also can apply to Nicole's question too, right? Where we just need to look at the person as a whole. What have you got going on in your lifestyle or your life that would make sense that ovulation was delayed for you? This is something I like to do. I like to interview you and ask you a ton of questions about your life. So do that for yourself. In there is the clue. The clues are actually in your life. It's not likely to be some other random thing that doesn't make any sense. So I'd love to hear from you. If you think about it, what's changed in your life? Have you moved? Have you traveled? Have you started a new job? Have you got all of these different things going on? That is where the answer to why my period is delayed this month after 3 in a row is going to lie. Okay, I hope that this was a helpful episode for you guys. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them on the show. So please comment on YouTube, send me a DM at Dani Sheriff or at the HA Society. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing and liking this video is a free way that you can support my channel while I help support you. Okay, guys, talk next time.